Yo, what's up, everybody? It is a Thursday edition of House Divided. I'm Jeff. He's Chad. Going to be with you for a while today. It's a Thursday. We got Brian Jones from CBS Sports in hour number 2, but got to do hour number 1 before we get to hour number 2, which feels like a joke that I will just skip right past. Like, subscribe, comment in the video. I wasn't going for like a number 2 joke, but sometimes it's just hard to say the word number 2 without somebody thinking of Dookie. So apologies for that. Thanks to everybody jumping into the Specs chat. It's cool. I actually am seeing the chat right now in our studio chat, which is better than what was happening with the Prize Pick show a couple of hours ago. I didn't see anything. So we've got the chat working. Microphones are working. You can hear me, right, Chad?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Am I good? Am I coming through?
I can hear. Yes. No, like. So things are good. I don't know that that's exactly the way Steve Sarkeesian would have described his Thursday media availability. I didn't listen to it live. I literally just got off the phone with Anwar Richardson 5 minutes ago. I was like, hey, wasn't able to catch it. Can you give me the synopsis? And it sounds like Sark was a little irritable that it's Thursday and he didn't really want to show up today listening to 30 minutes about questions of what's wrong with your football team. But, you know, we got a game in a couple of days from now, and it's a Texas football team that's on a bounce back for the first time all season. And sometimes the week after losses are the week after losses. And I think it sounds like 2 days away from the next game and 5 days removed from the loss to Georgia, Sark's tired of hearing about what's wrong with Quinn, what's wrong with the running game, what's wrong with the punt game, what's wrong with all of these things. I think we likely saw a coach today that just wants to get back out there, get back on the field, start the process of winning all over again. And that is the challenge for this Texas team going into Saturday. Win a game on the road in the SEC against a 5-2 ranked team.
Yeah, this may be a week where he actually wishes they had a Thursday game instead of a Saturday, to
Yes.
maybe cleanse the soul a little bit. It's a fascinating conversation today, Catch, on multiple levels. Sark really hasn't had to go back through his own psyche and the decision-making processes for the quarterback thing last Saturday. That's been pretty clear. I find that interesting. I also found these two chats interesting. Before we ever get started today, these come in from a guy named Brandon who says, going to my first game this weekend at Vandy, I really hope Quinn doesn't screw it up. And then the very next one says, or maybe that he screws it up so I get to watch the rise of Arch.
Jesus.
Yeah. All that is still there, but what ultimately jumps out for me today, Catch, in looking at Anwar's notes, and for people that don't know, you can go to orangebloods.com, check out the notes from the press conference. Anwar going through kind of everything that was dealt with. The Quinn stuff, Catch, he was asked about the injury thing, and the way Anwar phrased it here, I'm reading from the notes, says Sarkeesian was asked about Quinn stating he wasn't at 100% after Georgia. He doesn't believe Quinn was using that as an excuse. He said it's week 8 and everybody's dealing with something. He said Quinn is having a good week of practice. He's dialed into the game plan and has confidence. Quote, I'm looking forward to him getting another opportunity as a competitor to go back out and compete at a high level, Sarkeesian said. So to me, that was the main thing that jumped out. Anything else for you in your discussion with Anwar that and kind of the irritability of it all? Was that pretty much the press conference and what the press wanted to deal with today? Just the little, the issues on offense?
Yeah. And I think, this is season 4 of Sarkeesian. I think that one of the pet peeves that if you've covered Sarkeesian long enough, you realize he hates having the offense questioned. He hates people giving him suggestions that he needs for the offense. I'll never forget him being asked about Brennan Marion's go-go offense and whether or not bringing him into the assistant coaching staff meant that they could lean on what he'd been developing from an offensive standpoint at Pittsburgh. And Sarkeesian's reaction was, no, we're good. We're good. Probably won't see a lot of go. I don't know if you know this, but I can coach, and I don't
My
need
offense can go too.
And when he's asked about his baby, he can get a bit irritable. That's kind of his.
Yeah.
It is the thing that he least likes. The moment you start questioning decision-making process within the offense, personnel decisions, things that he clearly thinks I know a lot more about than you do, so how dare you ask me these questions? He's never said that, but you can feel it. And so I think it's not even about meeting with the media today as much as this is a week where after a loss, his baby was the thing that struggled, right? It'd be a lot easier, I think, for him to show up and be like, here's what the defense needs to be. I understand your questions. We're working on it, but you don't have to worry about my side. We've weirdly entered. Nobody thought going into the season that Texas would be a legitimate top 5 team led by one of the nation's best defenses and an offense that doesn't know who it is going into week 8. And part of the, hey, do you want to get the running game going this week? Well, yeah, that would help. There were a lot of these questions where it was like, yes, we would like to get the running game going. Somebody asked him about Isaiah Bond and whether or not, do you maybe sit him down this week because you got the bye week and you can get him ready for Florida? And is that part of the think? Oh, yeah, no, that's something that we're thinking about. There's all of these things that I think he's ready to put this sluggish offensive thing behind him. If it doesn't happen on Saturday, you go into a bye week and then it festers and it just stays as a talking point. So I think we maybe more so than any time during the Steve Sarkeesian era, he wants out there now. You're right. I think he'd take a Thursday game if he could get it. I think he wants his offense on the field. I think he wants his quarterback on the field. I think he wants all of these guys to immediately remember what it's like to have success and then to move on and to get away from what's happened in the last couple of weeks, but specifically Saturday against Georgia, which ironically goes right into kind of the theme of this show. This offense needs to get better. And, we did the Prize Pick show earlier, Chad. I just don't know what to say or think about the offense. I don't know what to expect from Quinn Ewers. I don't know what to expect from Trey Wisner. Is he the lead back this week? Or does Jaden Blue get a carry? Isaiah Bond, your leading receiver, he's maybe not going to play a lot or he'll be limited. So what does that mean across the board? It just feels like there's 100 questions, very few answers. And until they get back on the field on Saturday and maybe start to address some of this with play, that's just the way it's going to be.
We got a super chat already in. Heartbeat, we will get to you in just a second. Just real quick on the injury report, the first one from the Wednesday night, just to go over it. Catch has mentioned Bond already. That would be one of the ones that I think blinks at you. Derek Williams listed as out, not a shock. Makuba listed as doubtful for this game after the injury he suffered against Georgia. Bond questionable on the first report, and Wisner listed as probable on the first injury report. So that's the Texas side. Interesting on the Vandy side, Catch. Eli Stowers, the tight end, former quarterback at A&M, if everybody remembers that guy.
Maybe their best player, by the way, outside of Pavia.
Yeah. They use him in a ton of ways. He's questionable for the game. And Cedric Alexander, the running back from LBJ, that's Vandy, obviously, he's questionable for the game. So that's something we'll pay attention to in tonight's report, tomorrow night's, and then before the game report. So that's the injury stuff ultimately. But a lot of offensive talk on the show today. And Heartbeat is right there with the first super chat of the day. Catch $5. Do you know of any EG of high-end quarterback prospects where year 3 has come and the light bulb has not come on yet, and then it does turn on? Hope so. Hook 'em. EG? I don't know what EG is. Do you know of any EG? EG. Heartbeat, if you're – help us out. Do you know of any EG of high-end quarterback prospects?
I don't know, but we can answer the question without knowing what EG stands for.
Yeah, I don't know. End game. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be, but anyway, there you go. So,
I mean, most recently, I think you could look at a guy like Bo Nix as he sure as shit wasn't a first-round draft pick after the third season, but he stuck around for like 9 and then really blows up. The one that jumps out to me the most, and this is a dated reference, so I apologize, although I did just give you one that I think probably he's not. I wouldn't say that Bo Nix was Quinn Ewers, but they live in the same universe, I suppose. Carson Palmer at USC is the one to me that jumps out. Number 1 quarterback in the country when he goes to USC, class of 99 or 2000. I think class of 2000. And it didn't happen for him until his senior year. But as a senior, 4th-year senior, he wins the Heisman. But if you go back and look at his numbers in college up until that final season at USC, he was a total bust. So not apples to apples, because I would say that Quinn Ewers has been a much better player than Carson Palmer was in his first 3 years as a starter. But in Palmer's 4th season, wins the Heisman, and then he's Carson Palmer. But it wasn't always like that. And I would also maybe even point to Chris Sims. Chris Sims, we've talked about this all week long. By the time he leaves as a senior, Texas fans were asking or thinking to themselves, God, he's finally the guy we want him to be, and now he's gone. What if he hadn't played in 99 and they'd redshirted him and we had one more year of Chris Sims to go? So it happens. It probably happens more than you realize.
Yeah, and heartbeat meant example there with EG. I was banging my head on the tree and just missed the forest. Sorry, heartbeat. EG obviously means example, and everybody threw that in the chat. Thank you for making sure we got clarified there. All right, that's our first super chat. If you want to throw one in, it will go right to the top of the list. And Catch, there's the offense. I mean, we're laying it out, asking sort of the question of, is the offense broken? I don't know if I'd go so far as to say broken, but when you hear Texas fans talk about it, when we talk about it, it's like you said, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go with this offense because of some of the things we're seeing. Let me ask you to start here. I didn't get a chance to see the Prize Pick show today. What's your prediction for the game?
I said I thought it would be 27-20 going to the 4th quarter, and that Texas would separate in the 4th quarter and win 37-20.
37-20. Okay, you and I have the exact same score for Vandy. I have 31-20. So neither of us have a cover. We both have Texas winning by double digits, but not covering that number. It's like 18 and a half or whatever. I mean, I'd love to see Texas go in there and really flex some muscle, win by 3 touchdowns or more, but I think we're going to see something a little bit south of that. So we're both in the same area of where it's going to be, but you brought up a great question earlier about the running situation. That's my biggest, I mean, I guess it's a co-blinking light. It's Quinn and it's this run game. Neither feel top 5. Neither feel like it's the number 5 team in the country right now. Both of them probably need to dial in at the same time.
Yeah. The thing is, I think they're playing a team in Vanderbilt it's going to open the door for success. Vanderbilt, although they've played their last 2 games, pretty good defense. They didn't give up a lot to Kentucky. They played Ball State last week. They don't allow 20 points in either of their last 2 games. But you can go back and see that they gave up, I think, 35 to Alabama. They gave up 36 in a loss to Georgia State. They gave up 30 to Missouri. Granted, that was a game that went into double overtime, but they'll give up some points. They are Mississippi State on steroids. They want to live on 2nd and 6 and 2nd and 5, and they want to control the clock. They want to turn this into a very fast game, but not in the sense of a back and forth racetrack game. but in the sense of you blink and we're in the second quarter and Texas has had 1.5 possessions. So Texas is going to want to speed this thing up. They're going to want to slow it down. They're the king of 4 yards in a cloud of dust. They'll use the quarterback run to get there. And so Texas on offense, when they get the ball, they can't waste opportunities because this might not be a game where they get 15 possessions. And so, well, hey, we had 15 possessions, but we scored on half of them. So what do you know? We scored 37, right? Like, what if you get 9 possessions and then you score on half of them? Then maybe you're in the 20s or something like that. And then it's just a different kind of a game. I don't know what to think of Quinn. He's not been good in 6 of his last 8 quarters. I've been a guy all year long when we look at prize picks. I'm like, hammer the more. And lately that has just been terrible prize picks advice. I think they've got Wisner around 86 yards rushing or maybe somewhere in that ballpark. And it's like, I don't know. I have no idea what to fully expect, although I think the offensive line should be back to a high level where they've been at all season long, with the exception of the Georgia game. I do expect that group to bounce back. So you would think behind that, a lot of good stuff will follow. However, we got to see it. And the thing is, like, Florida's got athletes, and then Kentucky, and they've got athletes, and Arkansas, Texas. This is the weakest defense they'll play the rest of the way. So you hope they figure it out, because the challenges for the offense will get more difficult as the rest of the schedule unfolds.
Yeah, total defense for Vandy is in the top 40 technically. It's 39th in the country, but it's certainly not going to be a Georgia defense. They should be able to get some things done. But catch to Quinn, I wonder about the psyche part of it. After the game, his comments, his comments being interpreted all different ways, and what was communicated to him exactly during that game. And how could Quinn Ewers possibly tell you and me for sure that he's not getting replaced in Nashville? How can he possibly say that with absolute certainty? Hey, Quinn, if it kind of starts a little slow, they'll believe in you, right? They'll stay with you, right? What's his answer going to be? Where's the psyche of this quarterback right now going into the game? I wonder. Sark has not had to discuss this. Whether he meant to or not, he's avoided the full discussion, but it's out there. And I know it's in Quinn's mind in some way. I just wonder how this all plays out, Catch. If this thing starts 14-0 Texas, then you're going to push it down the road and maybe you don't have to deal with it. What if it starts 7-0 Vandy, 3-and-out Texas? Then what? How does it all start to manifest itself on message boards, with the broadcast, and with the team itself? How does that all roll out if it starts the other way?
It's a great question. I think one of the things that doesn't work is don't tell us Quinn has been good in practice, because that was said before Oklahoma and that was said before Georgia. So Quinn being good in practice that's either a bit of a fib or it isn't translating to anything tangible from an important standpoint in games since he's come back from the injury. And the other thing is a little bit disingenuous from Sark, but I get it. He doesn't want to engage in this conversation. So, he was like Dikembe Mutombo standing near the rim on some of these questions. But to say with the question of Quinn, well, hey, everybody's banged up at this time of the year and nobody's 100%. Okay, touche. However, not everybody on your team is coming back from an injury that caused them to miss games, plural, and then hasn't played well in back-to-back games since the return of the injury, and then said on Saturday that the injury was still there. So, don't tell us that, hey, everybody's banged up, because this isn't the same thing as everybody's banged up. if you want to tell us that Anthony Hill's got sore ribs or, he's a little bit of a sprained ankle, but not even enough to be listed on the injury report, because, hey, if we were going to list everybody that's got aches and pains, you just have 85. You do the old Belichick thing on an injury report, and you would just list the entire team.
Right.
This is a guy who was injured and hasn't come back well from the injury and is telling the media that there's still a thing with the injury. So if we ask about the injury, it's a little disingenuous to just say, well, if everybody's banged up. Well, technically, he shouldn't be banged up because he hasn't played much, but he could still be injured. So, And we don't know that. Like, the thing that all week long I've been thinking about, Chad, is I've read some medical stuff on this injury. And it's like, well, there's a certain amount of time you need for it to heal. A lot of times it's 4 to 6 weeks and should be okay. But if you come back early, it could be a thing that lingers all season long. That if he's having any problems with this at all, the thing that he needs is rest. But they're in the middle of a season. They got a game this week. I don't know that a week of rest next week is exactly what the doctor ordered, although it can't be a bad thing. But he's been back this is his 3rd week back. If it's still a thing at all on any level, what does it mean we're getting from Quinn Ewers? I'll raise my hand again. I've been captain, take Ewers to go wild on offense every week this season. I did it against Oklahoma. I did it against Georgia. I can show you my Prize Picks receipts. You can say, Catch, sure sounds like you hate on Quinn Ewers a lot. I put my bank account on him, though. So whatever you think, I don't dislike Quinn Ewers so much that I don't every week expect him to play really, really well. I did last week. If you remember last week, I was like, I'm giving Quinn the benefit of the doubt. He was shaking off some ring rust, but he's going to come out this weekend. I picked Texas to win. I picked him to do really well. I picked him to have 3 or more touchdowns. Didn't happen. Going into this week, I'm a little more, okay, we kind of have to stand back a little bit and see what happens. And if you ask me what I think will happen, what I think is Texas should score 40 points against Vanderbilt. What I think is going to happen, I don't know. Should and will are just 2 different conversations. And after the last 2 weeks, I'm a little bit unsure about the will. I know the shoulds, but the wills, I don't know.
We got a super chat from Jay, one of our favorite chatters. What's up, Jay? $5. I started to think it was destiny that we beat Georgia, be number 1, and then Vandy beat us in a letdown game, meaning Vandy would have beaten 2 number 1s in a season. Wow, Jay, that is a lot to play out. That is a lot to play out. And that would be a true SEC kind of story, right? You're up that high, and then you go to Vanderbilt and get knocked back down. So that was what was in your mind. Now it's a bit of you got to go to Nashville, and you got to really find something in yourself. And Catch, you said it, first road SEC game for Texas this season. The schedule just has laid out in a weird way where
it's their 4th
this one
SEC game, but it's their first true road game.
Right, where it's this one, Arkansas, and A&M. And I've said it all week. Every other team in this conference has had at least 1 road conference game by now. South Carolina's already had 3 of them, and most teams have had 2. Texas has had none. So it's just a weird little anomaly of the schedule. But as I pointed out yesterday, Catch, with the SEC, you've got 3 teams that have rival games at the end against non-conference opponents. So you have to figure out the Georgia, South Carolina, Florida stuff by front-loading some schedules and back-loading others. And Texas just ends up as a back-loaded road team this year. So now let's see what it looks like out on the road, go get it done. But in the case of Quinn in this offense, I like the argument that it could help them get away from home, Get away from whatever weirdness your crowd might provide you, the weird murmurs, the weird rabbles, because no matter what happens, like if Arch Manning were required in this game, that place ain't going to pop the same way Austin would pop. So just the whole mindset of it's different because you're on the road, and this is not the scariest road environment. Like it should set up pretty well to be put your toe into the road pool in the SEC because you know what's coming in the deep water.
Yeah, it's just, the ebb and flow of a college football season is always an interesting thing. And we've looked at this Vanderbilt game for 9+ months and thought that it would be just a stepping stone to other more important events. And yet, on the week of this game, it feels really important. There's no reason to dive into hyperbole and say it's the biggest moment of the season, or this is the biggest moment of Quinn Ewers' career, right? Let's not do that. But it's a big deal. It has turned into a big game. Texas needs to shake off the things that happened last week. They need to build back up some momentum. And its most important player has to start playing well again. And yeah, there's some uncertainty about that going into this season. Going into this game. But Vanderbilt will give them plays. Vanderbilt will give up big plays. Again, they didn't stop Alabama when they beat them last month, or was that this month? I can't remember when that game took place, if it was late September or early October. But, Texas has got to make the plays. And the thing I'm a little bit worried about is, can Quinn push the ball down the field at all? We keep thinking they need to get Ryan Wingo involved in the offense. Well, the best way to probably get Ryan Wingo in the offense is to be able to throw the ball down the field a little bit, allow him to make those big plays. You see those stats of Quinn and his air yards this season, and everything's near the line of scrimmage and way down from last season and among the nation's worst. Can they expand that? Because I'll just say this. If that can't change, if they can't make this passing game a little bit more forward progress leaning, they're going to go out early in the playoffs. When they start playing really good teams and those teams have good quarterback play, you can't have your quarterback just throwing it sideways and near the line of scrimmage and not stretching teams a little bit. It's the thing that I need to see this weekend. I need to see that Quinn is comfortable throwing the ball down the field, because there were plays in this offense to be made last week in the passing game down the field, and they weren't happening. They were not happening. They didn't come close to being executed. And when you consider the other problems that the offense has, not running the football, not having healthy players, not having Isaiah Bond, and some of the other things that they were dealing with, not having your starting quarterback be able to attack all portions of the field becomes a problem. And that, if they don't have that this weekend, Chad, that's how that game, I think, gets interesting in the second half.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We do have a super chat we will get to. Also, Catch is going to be out by 1 o'clock today. Brian Jones going to jump in at 1:20. So I will be telling Brian that Catch does not want to speak with him, and Brian will get mad at some point.
That's fine.
And maybe swear.
You know what? It's fair, because I've missed a few Thursdays. Yeah. This time I'm actually here for the show and then leaving before he comes on. So it feels way more personal.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to make sure he knows all those details and just see if I can get him to flip out a little bit.
The good news is I literally won't be able to watch the show. So you guys say what you got to say. Let Brian tee off on me. And unless people tell me in the chat tomorrow, I'm never going to know.
Exactly. Also, most importantly for Brian, we'll get his thoughts on Texas and Georgia, where Texas goes from here, but also They've got Illinois, Oregon on CBS. What does he think of that matchup? And A&M LSU. We'll get his thoughts on the big games of the week. But certainly before you get out of here, Catch, I want you to talk about Rogue Shop, one of our great partners around here, because I know they do a lot of things for you and you, family, friends, and others. So tell them a little bit about Rogue.
Scan that QR code and start making your life just a little bit better. Pain, anxiety, sleeplessness, a pick-me-up, a little bit of everything for every problem, it seems. Just go to rogueshop.com, ask for Shar, ask for Richard, let them answer your questions, let them put you on the pathway towards the product that makes your life a little bit better, that makes pain less of an issue, that makes sleeplessness less of an issue. Anxiety, oh my God. If you deal with anxiety, imagine what it's like to just take the edge off a little bit and not feel it so much every day. You can go to rogueshop.com or, again, scan that QR code and go right there. The bottom line is I don't think of Rogue Shop as just family. I don't think of them as a partner with Orange Bloods. I think of them as a pathway to a better life. That's what they offer. And it's really as simple as that. There's no reason to twist your arm. There's no reason to try to convince you something that you don't want to believe in. But if you can be open-minded and say, look, I need something new because what I'm taking and what I'm trying isn't working. Try a little CBD. Try that THC. Let them give you some options and then go from there. But I can tell you right now, life just wouldn't be as good without my Rogue Shop. And that's the way most people that I know that use Rogue Shop feel. Simple as that.
All right, we're rolling through a house divided here on Thursday. Brian Jones coming up at 1:20. We got chats in. We have at least one super chat with just a simple question.
Have two.
So I got one for sure. Simple question from Blake. You think Sark gaslights us with Quinn Ewers? Catch, I'll admit I'm an old man who doesn't. We were talking the other day about irony and trying to define the word irony. I'll admit I'm an old man that can't fully tell anybody what gaslighting is. So if you can interpret that for Blake, please do.
Here's what I'm going to do for you, Chad.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the textbook definition of gaslighting.
Okay.
This is according to AI on Google. So it's like a textbook definition.
All right.
Gaslighting is a manipulative tactic that causes someone to question their reality, thoughts, and feelings. The goal is to make the victim distrust themselves and to rely on the gaslighter who may try to gain power and control over them. It's a bullshit con man, okay? It's a con artist.
Okay.
Telling you one thing, and even though you know it's not like that, he's telling you that it's like that.
So wait a second. Let me go back to an example we both know. Are you telling me that like the Eddie Murphy Raw, I heard you said something about me. No, you didn't. Maybe I didn't. I'm going to beat up the fool that told me them lies. Like the Mr. T Eddie Murphy in Raw. Is that gaslighting?
I would think you're using the wrong example from Raw.
Okay.
I saw you with that woman. No, you didn't. No, I did. You were there. You were having sex with her. I saw the birthmark on you and the tattoos. It was you. No, it wasn't. But and then eventually I saw you come out of the hotel room. Okay. No, you didn't.
Gotcha. Okay.
Maybe I didn't. That's gaslighting.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough.
Blake is asking if I think Sark gaslights us with Quinn. What I would tell you, Blake, is that he's a head football coach. They gaslight us on a lot of things. It's what makes them head football coaches. Sometimes they're just not going to let us in. So don't say gaslights, right? Say bullshits. Do I think sometimes Sark bullshits us with Quinn? Yeah. Yeah, he's a football coach. I expect a certain level of not being able to trust the words that come out of their mouth. No offense to any of them, but they're fun. Sark, we know, is a little disingenuous at times with injuries. We just know. He had Xavier Worthy out there playing with a broken hand and the kid's dropping passes, and at no point did he say, hey, cut Xavier some slack. He's playing with an injury. No, they went all the way through the season. And then way after the fact, it was like, well, yeah, he did need off-season surgery. He was playing with an injury. I mean, I have no expectations for anything less than that, ever.
Blake, thank you for the $1.99 super chat and the ability for Catch to inform me of what gaslighting is. Thank you. Also, do you agree with this? Catch Tex Blonde, who we know is real, says basically what the Aggies do on a daily basis. That would be ironic if it's true. Would you consider normal Aggie behavior gaslighting?
No, because A&M fans typically live in a displaced reality.
Okay.
So
that's different from gaslighting.
It may sound like gaslighting, but they believe, you know what? Gaslighting has become one of those words that's somewhat interpreted, like it's open for interpretation. So if you want to say it's what Aggies do, I know why you would say that, but it's boy, all of the examples I want to give are political right now, so I'm not going to do it. What I would just say is it can fit in a lot of different ways.
Yes, Tex Blonde, thank you for that. We hope you are both real and spectacular today on this Thursday. We got that one out of the way. We did have another super chat from Sugar Poppy, $5. Pavia is my raza. I'm not sure what that is. More that I need explained. But I pray to the sun god that Ant Hill rolls his heart down the steps of Vandy Stadium this Saturday. That imagery, that well done. Rolls his heart down the steps. I like it.
I think that what he's saying is that Pavia is his people.
Okay.
You know, that
raza, like Viva la Raza, the family. Right. Gotcha.
He's
like this is sad that I'm going to pro wrestling for this one. Who is it? Isn't there a pro wrestler that used to do the Viva la Raza? Was it Conan that did that? Conan, maybe Rey Mysterio Jr. Somebody help me.
I'm telling you what it is. Do you need?
That sounds, yes.
You need the metaphor to go with it, or you need the specific. He's saying Pavia and him are from the same people. That's my
Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero is who I'm thinking of. Eddie Guerrero used to say "Viva la Raza" a lot when he was doing the Latino Heat, the Latino Heat deal. Thank you.
You've got that. You had. I love your examples.
Thank you, Z.
Because anybody can give wrestling examples. That you had that on call is spectacular. You know what? That is real and spectacular.
Thank you. That I'm just glad somebody thinks that's impressive, because a therapist would disagree with you. Thank you, Sugar Poppy, for that $5
Here's
super
a follow
chat.
up for you.
Oh yes. There you go. My Aztec Raza. Gotcha. Okay. I like it.
And by the way, Mitch is jumping right in as well. $4.99. Sorry, Chad. But your people are something else. Have you seen the Aggie shirt with the horns cut off? Welcome to the SEC and the UGA score.
No, I have not. I have not seen it. I've not heard about that until you just told me. Mitch, the SEC is a T-shirt place. There are multiple fan bases that really dig T-shirts. And the Aggies have kind of fallen into that world. I don't recall it a lot back in the day. Now, I will say when I was a kid and there was the run going on against Texas, every year there would be a shirt made up to remind you of, whatever, if there was how many in a row and all that. But when they beat Bama, sure.
That I think will help you with this discussion. Hold on. You keep talking. I'm working on it.
Okay. But yeah, I did not realize it was there, Mitch. I guess I'm not surprised because, we talked about it on one side last week that Texas had such an opportunity to really clear themselves from the pack. There was going to be no argument if they beat Georgia, even by a little bit, but especially if they'd beaten them by a score or two, then everybody really has to duck down. But we talked about it last week that probably not Sooners because they've got bigger issues to deal with, but especially Aggies and other fan bases were going to be ready if Georgia won the game, and especially if there was a physicality to how they did it, that the knee-jerk reaction would be, well, there it is. There you go. Guess Texas isn't quite ready for the SEC. So there you have it. Is that what you meant to put up? You meant to put up the tiebreaker? Okay. Just making sure.
No, I'm trying to delete the tiebreaker. Take that down for me.
Trying to delete.
I'm loading something else up that I wanted to show. Because you said that I don't know why.
Okay.
Here, okay. I was going to say, give me a second. And then I'm going to show you that the Orange Bloods community in Texas is acclimating with the T-shirt idea themselves. But Restream is taking a while to do what I wanted to do, so fuck it.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question.
It says it's
just
loading,
in theory, Catch.
But all I see is a little wheel spinning.
Okay. If Texas had beaten Georgia, do you think there have been shirts made? Like, I don't know. I can tell you, like, from what I've seen, if A&M had hosted Georgia, any ranking involved, there'd have been a shirt made if they won the game. Like, I can guarantee you that.
Well,
but I hadn't thought about it.
Our friends over into the system.
Okay. I got you.
Restream, if you're our guys over at Groggy Dog have a new shirt in the store. And it says, not my problem. We won. Next game.
Not my problem. We won. Next game.
Because last week, Sarkeesian was asked about the comments about being lucky to win. And Sarkeesian told the media, not my problem. We won next game.
Okay, so this shirt was made up between Georgia and between OU and Georgia. I got you. Okay. Interesting. By the way, gotcha. Okay, Sugar Poppy, I am not gaslighting you. I swear, I had not seen it.
Oh,
I have
man,
not seen this shirt.
We're just gaslighting each other.
Everything's going to turn into gaslighting. I had no idea. Yeah. So there you have it. Yeah, just know it's a T-shirt world. It's a T-shirt world. In fact, in this room where I sit every day in the Hall of Helmets, right up there is a shirt Ole Miss girl gave me when they beat Bama. I think I have there's another shirt right down here with a corn dog on it that she sent me one year when they pulled off a big win. And I have a shirt from when A&M beat Bama, the 41-38, Randy, the Bond kick at the end. I think, was it Bond would be the kicker? Yeah. That game, I have a shirt.
Guys, it's Restream. We've been having Restream issues on every show today. And what happened is a mistake of trying to upload a T-shirt idea into the system, and it's crashing the system.
It's messing with what we're trying to do.
I wonder if this is
I think it might be there.
Oh, here it is. Finally.
All right, it's there for you, Kat. Show it to me. Not my problem. We won. Next game. Wow. Okay.
I would actually wear that T-shirt. I want that T-shirt. By the way, it only took like 6 minutes for that to load in the system. But yeah, Texas fans, we got this thing down. The issue is T-shirt celebrating someone else's victory, which that's ish to do. No offense.
That is a bit weird. Yeah, that is weird. I will say that one. I've never heard of a transferred one where, like, now we did have yesterday, and I don't know if I'm in danger of. Let me see if it will allow me to do this, because we did have one last night, Catch. We were going to have on the Outsiders. We didn't get around to it, but Chance Mock sent me this one. So this does feel like other fan bases taking their shots, right? This is other fan bases translating it, but it's not specific. So I don't know. That kind of would be the same thing, I guess.
That's
as
funny.
what maybe the Aggies. Yeah, what the Aggies maybe did. So if you're going to do that, if you're the Aggies and you're going to take that shot at Texas, maybe try to make it general. Try to make it like it's from everybody, not that it's
by the way,
specifically
congratulations to your Aggies beating the Texas women's volleyball team in Austin last night. I watched that match. Where the hell did that performance come from?
Yeah, crazy five set win. First time they've beaten Texas since like
2010.
God, was it 2010 at all? First time in Austin since like 01? Did I see that right? Yeah. And obviously there's that huge section where they're not playing.
As Maddie Skinner said, she wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, so, that's wild.
Hey, man, to the victor go to spoils. They did the thing last night.
Big win. There you go. All right. So a little T-shirt discussion because that's, SEC. Even T-shirts just mean more.
Okay, Chad, I got like 10 minutes left. So do we want to do some buy or sell?
That probably would be a good idea. You want to go first or second?
Oh, man, I'm winging it. So let's go second.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to go hardcore football on you today. Buy or sell number 1. If Bond can't go, the first wide receiver that gets more targets is Golden.
Sell. I'm going to say Wingo. That Golden – his target share won't be impacted a bunch. That it won't be if he's been getting 4 targets a game, suddenly that's 7. I think the difference will be Wingo getting more targets.
Man, I hope you are right. That was the other name I considered throwing in there. Buy or sell number 2, Catch. You'll take LSU to beat A&M in College Station.
So I think the Aggies win this weekend at home.
All right.
But I think they lose next weekend at South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Buy or sell number 3, Catch. Kalen DeBoer hits 50 today. You think he'll get a 5th year in T-Town?
Yeah, buy.
Okay.
Yeah, DeBoer is an excellent coach. I think he's having a little bit of a rocky month in a new school, but I believe in that guy's ability to coach. As the roster becomes more his, I think Alabama will be just fine.
All right, which leads us right to buy or sell number 4, Bama beats Mizzou.
Buy. Mizzou sucks, man. Now, Alabama hasn't been great, and they really haven't been great on defense, but Missouri, that team's just not good. I think if we cared at all about Missouri, we would be talking all season long about how bad they've been, but we don't care about Missouri at all. And so them being a massive disappointment just doesn't land on the radar at all. But something's wrong with Missouri. It's certainly not at Florida State levels, but every time I've watched Missouri play this season, they've either lost or they're scraping out a win that is at home and they don't deserve. So I'm going to take Bama on a bounce back game. Jalen Milroe plays more of a Jalen Milroe game. The thing that you got to understand about what happened last week to Alabama is Tennessee is a really good offense away from legitimately being a national championship contender. That defense is the truth. And that Missouri defense is not the Tennessee defense. I think we'll see Bama bounce back.
Catch, the weirdest thing about college football to me this year might be that that Luther Burden is the best receiver they've got, and I know Luther Burden is the best receiver they've got, but they don't. I have no clue how they can't get him involved in a football game. It's bizarre. And finally, buy or sell, number 5, Illinois beats Oregon.
So, but okay. As we start buy or sell on my side, I'll start with the first question right off of that game.
Okay, fair enough.
By the way, number 1.
Just real quick opinion for you. I think Illinois was 1 week away. They should have. I wish they could wear those Red Grange uniforms at Oregon, and Oregon wear something crazy, flashy, glow in the dark, and then like Modern Time meets Old Day. That would have been really, really cool. So they missed it by 1 week. I know why they did it, but yeah, that sucks. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Catch.
Buy or sell number 1. Illinois should wear the Red Grange uniforms every week.
Every
week. Every week.
Sell. They shouldn't wear them every week. That helmet should definitely find its way back, and maybe the uniforms, maybe it's once a year. Maybe you mix it in twice a year. I wouldn't go every single game catch. I'd make it a special thing, but it had an impact. They won the damn game. It felt really cool, and that's the best way I've ever seen like the old school leather helmet, manifest itself on a modern hat.
I need to pause for just a second.
Okay.
Take me off the screen.
Okay.
I need to ask my wife. She just literally came in.
Okay. Quick pause. It's a quick pause for Jeff Ketchum. There it is. Quick pause. I can do that. No problem. While we're quick pausing, let's play that spec spot for you. May need to get stocked up at specs for Texas and Vanderbilt. Here we go, Lisa.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Man, Lisa's a total pro. She didn't even know we were going to her, and she was still ready to go. That's how much of a pro she is. All right. I think that's good. There he is. The look on your face would tell me that whatever you just had to pause for, you've now come back, and you may not think it was worth pausing. Am I right?
Out of respect for my marriage,
Yep.
and the fact that I want to stay married, I will resist the urge to turn this show into my therapy session.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So we can just continue buy or sell. But
fair enough. All right, Catch. You were in the middle of buy or sell.
Married people, hey, if you're not married and you've never been married and you're in the chat, you need to know that every married person that just saw my reaction, they know that reaction. They know that experience.
I know that.
I'm not telling you not to get married. I'm just telling you that every once in a while, this shit will drive you bonkers.
Oh my God. I see that extra super chat that just came in. We'll get to it as soon as we're done with buy or sell.
Buy or sell number 2, Yankees, Dodgers. That thing starts, what, Friday?
Tomorrow night.
Buy or sell, you care.
Buy. I care if the Yankees lose. Yeah, I'm going to root for the Dodgers because I don't like the Yankees. So I care to that level. I know who I'm rooting for. That's about it.
Buy or sell number 3, you watched a little bit of the NBA last night.
Sell. Just checked out some highlights. I did not watch any live NBA last night.
Buy or sell number 4, you're glad the Cowboys are coming off of a bye week.
Sell. I wish there were 2 in a row. Coming off of a bye week at the Niners, both teams are like gritty. Not gritty. That's not the right word. Both teams are going to have some level of desperation. And if you've got desperation on one side that has Bosa on it and Shanahan's play calling, that's probably going to be the way it goes. And I think the Cowboys, and you're putting it on Sunday night, right? It's a Sunday night game. That game has every chance to be embarrassing for the Cowboys. Oh my God. I'm just hoping it's a ball game catch when we get to like halftime. That one feels bad to me going in. So yeah. Sell. I wish we could have 3 buys in a row at this point.
And finally, buy or sell number 5. There's a lot of talk now that Derrick Henry might make a run at the NFL single-season rushing record. Lamar Jackson thinks he can do it. He's having an MVP-type season with the Ravens, although technically the Ravens have a couple of guys who are having MVP-type seasons. Buy or sell? Personally, you're happy for Derrick Henry that he signed with the Ravens instead of the Cowboys, because if he'd signed with the Cowboys, he'd just be sucked into the Cowboys' mess and wouldn't be having nearly the fun and enjoyment and excitement that he has right now playing with a real football team.
I think you laid that out properly. That felt like a therapy session. Bye. Well done. That was well done as a Cowboys fan. Yeah, you laid all of those little things out. Every marker, you hit all the rest stops along the way. Good job. Very good. Very good.
The thing that you needed to say in a response. And instead, You're right. It felt a little therapeutic, and I just vomited words out, and there you go.
Sometimes buy or sell is about us getting our own feelings out, and that's what you just did. Well done. Well done. That
You
is
know
good.
what?
That's
That happened because my wife interrupted the show.
right.
So
And
what did
now
I do? I
you
projected
channeled.
angst.
Yeah.
I was
Nothing
like,
wrong
let's
with
talk
channeling.
about the Cowboys for a second. They suck.
Nothing wrong with channeling. That is good. All right. Catch. I know you got a roll here. Anything else before you go? Brian Jones is still coming up. We'll get to some other things here. But anything else before you jump out?
Bah humbug. I'm glad that you've got Brian here. He can lift the spirits of the show. I can feel myself sliding into the depths of like, nah. So I'm glad that I'm not going to project that towards the audience. You kids have a good rest of the day. I got to go do stuff.
There it is. Jeff Ketchum, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Like I've always said about Jeff Ketchum, I never wonder what he's thinking. Ever. I never have that moment of, you know what was going on today with Ketch? He was just faking it. Like that never happens with Jeff Ketchum. All right, so Brian Jones coming up at 1:20 or so. We'll talk college football. We got chats that have come in. I think we may. Yes, there's at least there's 2 super chats that came in. And let's go to Ryan. Ryan, what's up? $20, $19.99. Closest you can get. Buy or sell. Arch 2025 is better than Quinn 2024. Ryan, I would buy that. I would buy. Yeah. Especially if you set it up that way. You're setting it up that way, full off season to get ready. Everything is designed because you know he's going to be your guy. Yeah. I would absolutely buy that. And I think there was probably some other folks in the chat that might do it. Michael sent us this super chat, $1.99. What happened to Cook? Michael, I don't know. And I was going to put Jonte in the buy or sell for Catch, that if Bond isn't available, that Cook has to be one of the guys that stands up. I don't know what it is. I know there's been some reporting this year. Maybe it's a little bit of just, needing to mature a little more or whatever. I thought Jonte was going to be a dog this year. I thought he was going to be undeniable. I thought he and Silas Bolden both were going to make more of an impact than they've made in just the pure passing game. We'll see. If Bond can't go in this game, I do wonder, how does it get figured out? I would assume Gunnar Helm's going to be a big part of this ball game, but then receiver-wise, who is it? There's been a good relationship with Ewers and Golden. I'd certainly watch that, but I have had 1 and 11 in my mind all year. Every game I watch Texas play, I think, Jonte and Bolden, where are they? Where are they? Could you use them? What can you do? I think they're both studs, and it just hasn't quite happened. So, Michael, I don't know. I wish I could give you that clear answer. I hope that there's a little bit of rebirth on all of that. By the way, I would like to point out, this may be my favorite weird chat of the day because it's a very metaphysical kind of question here that the Longhorns haven't had until they've been in the SEC. If OU isn't a road game because we have half the fans in the stadium, then will Saturday be a road game when more than half of the fans are Texas fans? By the way, did anybody catch the crowd of that Bama Vandy game? It is a weird thing. Like that crowd felt like 3/4, if not more, Bama. And then you saw little pockets, like pockets of Vandy fans. And you're like, wait a minute, isn't this in Nashville? So I get it. Orange blood. I don't know how we fully define that. So that was a reaction to, we're talking about first true SEC road game for Texas coming up. By the way, to the chatter that said the Aggies just had it last week, it wasn't a big deal. Remember, the Aggies went to Florida like 3 or 4 weeks in. So they'd already been. And again, I don't know that it's that big a deal. I'm just giving it to you as a weird fact of the conference that everybody else has had one. And there's a couple like Missouri, who's it? Missouri, OU, and Arkansas have had one. South Carolina's had 3. Everybody else has had 2. Is it a big deal? No. But it's just one of those weird parts of this first schedule for Texas that these road games are that because the advantage, if you want to put it in air quotes, of having the OU game is you're going to have that deal where you were the road team in Dallas, meaning we talked about it. OU got to host the recruits and all that. So that counts in a way as your SEC road game. And that means you only have 3 more. So there'll be next year, it'll flip the other way. And you're going to end up, so you're going to have the kind of reverse years where that game is going to count as a home. And then you're going to have those 4 true road games next year. So anyway, there you have it. And thank you for that. Orange Blood 1. Brian Jones coming up here in a few minutes. It is House Divided on this beautiful Thursday, getting ready for Texas and Vandy. We'll talk some SEC tiebreaker stuff because I looked up more of that. Some of you were asking questions. I looked up a little bit. We will get into that. Right now, though, let's get you that AV consultation spot. World Series about to fire up. You're going to need all kinds of cool stuff on a badass TV. If it's not quite good enough, this is the place that can help. Here you go.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations.
And Camilla McKay.
Kid, what time is it?
Old man, it's back to sports time. The hockey and football seasons are upon us.
And baseball is winding down to the best part.
And what about basketball season?
I'm 5'2". Who the hell cares about basketball?
Yeah, we're talking about watching, not playing. And in that case, you've got everyone covered, right?
That's right. Audiovisual Consultations has been providing awesome systems and service throughout Texas for over 30 years.
Installing home entertainment systems and livening up restaurants with incredible audio and video systems.
We're talking multi-screen video walls.
And home entertainment that puts you in the best seat in the stadium.
Just give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Hey, aren't you forgetting something?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Hug your kids until they beg you to stop. Watch a game with your friends.
And make love to whoever the hell you want.
Just give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit us at avconsultations.com. Go Stars!
Go Bruins!
Kid.
There you have it. Little Tom McKay, little Camilla McKay. You got to love it. Thanks to them. Thanks to AV Consultations for being a great partner. avconsultations.com. All right, let me scan the chats here. Make sure. Let's see. Jose. Chad, ask Brian for his favorite Smokey and the Bandit lines for me. I bet they are good. Wait a minute. That's a perfect thing. Smokey and the Bandit. Brian's a big fan of Smokey and the Bandit. I'm going to say he definitely goes to Buford T. Justice with something. I think he might go with Hold Off on That Car Wash, Boys, with the side of the road, but we'll see. Let me make sure I mark that one. We will figure that out. All right, let me scan and see if we got any super chats. I believe we got to that one. If you want to send a super chat, we will get that right to the top of the list. Thank you all. Over 500 of you in the Specs chat. Do appreciate you there. Again, Brian Jones is coming up. Earlier, you saw the tiebreaker pop up because I had the SEC tiebreaker for a while, and some of you guys were asking me some questions about this thing. I had to remind myself how weird this thing is going to get. So I'll try to give you a couple basics here, and then you can just put it away. There are 6 steps to the tiebreaking process. Step 6 is a coin flip. So hopefully it doesn't have to get to that point. Step 5 is something that doesn't seem to be clearly defined. So I'm going to show you this. Just read the next to last one. Capped relative scoring margin versus all conference opponents. That's a metric that's derived from comparing the team's points scored and allowed to the opponent's average points scored and allowed per an appendix in the tie-breaking rules. All right, per the appendix, that means there's something I don't have access to that I can't break this thing down. But the first 4 steps we can all look up and figure out. So the first 4 steps I think are simple. Head-to-head is the first step. We all get why that would be a big deal. And then the next step, look at step 2 here. Record versus common conference opponents. Okay? Let's just stick with those 2 ideas. So Texas and Georgia, if they have the same conference record, they played, Georgia won, they'd win the tiebreaker. Pretty simple. But then it's about if Texas ends up tied in a situation with a team they did not play, then you have to look at the common opponents. And just to give you a sense for it, I told you yesterday, there are 5 common opponents with Texas and LSU. But with Texas and Tennessee, there are 7 of them. With Texas and Missouri, there are 5 of them. With A&M and Georgia, there are 4 of them. And with LSU and Georgia, there are only 3 of them. So just keep that. You're going to have to look up both teams and go, okay, which ones did they each play? And then you go record to record. How did I do against those? So I gave you the situation yesterday. It could work out to where Texas is 5-0 against the teams that they share with LSU, but LSU would be 4-1 if they lost in College Station. It might be part of me just wanting A&M to beat LSU. You could argue that. I don't know if you're right, but you can argue that. So that's how Texas would win that tiebreaker. So those are the first two steps that I would think about. We can get to the rest of it later. We can get to the rest of it if need be. Just keep those two in mind. And if you're a Texas fan, here is the one thing you can't have. This is going to feel old school to you because remember the old days. Remember way back in Big 12 division days. Remember when that existed? When Texas would lose that game to OU. What did you need at that point? You needed not to be tied with OU or you were out, right? You're battling for the South in that situation. You couldn't get past them if they didn't lose two more games. Because if they only lost one, you lose the head-to-head. So when you think about that Georgia game, what it did for Texas is pretty simple if I'm seeing this tiebreaker stuff right. Texas cannot end up in any kind of tiebreaker with Georgia if there's also another team that gets a spot. So if it ends up being like Texas, Georgia, LSU, could be a situation where LSU gets in and then you go Texas versus Georgia and Georgia won the game. So Texas fans, the one thing I'm telling you to root for above all else might be Georgia winning at home against Tennessee going to Georgia and winning. You need Georgia to get another conference loss to really make sure that you don't have to end up in that tiebreaker. We're, of course, assuming Texas gets on a run here and wins the rest. Win the rest. You'd give A&M a conference loss that no matter what else happened, wins you a tiebreaker. And then you would probably – and then you got to worry about LSU and where they are in the discussion. Because, again, there's 5 different teams that are laid out there. And I just gave you a tiebreaker example of how you could get by LSU. These are, these are all sort of floating out there. And Craig is right. Texas won't have to worry about any of this. If we don't handle business on Saturday, one at a time, let's get that done, then worry about this mess. Craig, I agree. Totally agree. That's why I said I've been known over the years to dig a little too far into this stuff, but I do like looking at the stats. So just know those are the basics of kind of how it works. But it is wild that you could look at 2 teams and sometimes they might share like 5 opponents or it could be 3. And in the case of like Texas and Tennessee, it's 7 different opponents. That's weird. They play 7 of the 8 that are similar games. All right. Brian Jones coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Before we do that, let's talk about 2 of our favorite places. And I'll talk about both of them here. We don't normally do it this way, but it's an off weekend in terms of home games. If you're a home game kind of person and you're not going to Nashville, you may need somewhere to go. Let me start by suggesting Hayes City Store, right out there in Driftwood on FM 150. Man, some of the best food you've ever had in your life. If you're in a chicken fried steak mood, stop everything and go. Go get it. It's worth the trip. I always say, wherever you're coming from, Hayes City Store is worth that trip. It's over an hour away from where I'm sitting right now, but it's worth it every time. Chicken fried steak, the gravy, top notch. Chicken fried chicken, incredible. Chicken fried pork chop, unreal, because you also get that gravy. Grilled pork chop, out of this world. Blackened pork chop, unbelievable. Truck stop enchiladas, yep. The desserts are incredible. Best key lime pie I have ever had. Go have it and tell me that I'm wrong. I don't think you're going to tell me you've ever had. Maybe you tell me there's one somewhere. I don't know if you can tell me there's 3 or 5 that you've had that are better than that. It's damn good. Drinks at the beginning are incredible. That home run dip to start you off with, it's unbelievable. at Hayes City Store. So go check them out in Driftwood. Tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. Weather getting a little bit cooler. It's going to be a great time to be out there. Make sure you get the reservation. You can click on the QR code to find out more. You can follow them on Facebook, Hayes City Store on Facebook, and they will tell you what's going on. There's live music out there. There's specials going on. They've always got something going on. Now, if you want to dial it up a little bit, but you're going to get the same level of detail, that's where you hit Taste on Main. Downtown Buda. Same folks. It's Travis, it's Tamara, but this is dialed up to steakhouse level. It is a casual steakhouse that's out of this world. I get the steak Oscar style when I go there. Didn't even know Oscar style was a thing, but oh man, take that seafood right on top of the steak. It's just amazing. The drinks are great. I love the Sam Elliott's mustache. I've told you about that, but they've got great beer selection out there. They've got the Treehouse Bar right there, and you're in beautiful downtown Buda, so you can do what my wife and I did last time we rolled over there, is walk around, hit some antique shops, and have a good time in Buda once you get done. A very non-threatening kind of steakhouse, if there ever was one. But man, the food is incredible. And like I always say, just the level of details is amazing. And if you are headed to Taste on Main and you like Brussels sprouts, do it. Order the Brussels sprouts at Taste on Main. They are incredible. I'm probably going to order them every time I go from now on. So check out Taste on Main or Hayes City Store, or maybe both. Get your reservation ahead of time because it'll be much easier. There's a great brunch at Taste on Main as well, Saturdays and Sundays. They go 10 to 3 on that. So we want to thank them for being a great partner of ours. Those guys are the ones that were a part of helping us get to SEC Media Days and all of that kind of stuff. And who knows? I haven't checked in with Travis this week. He might be headed to Nashville. I don't know. Maybe Travis and Tamara are going to hit Nashville this week. Will be interesting to see what happens with Texas and Vandy. I don't see any super chats right now. So as we wait for Brian, just kind of recapping today's show, we're talking about this offense. Somebody jumped into the chat right away and said, broken. I don't even know if it's broken. Is it that bad? I mean, we lost to a good team, but I don't know if it's fair to say we're broken. Then there was another chatter that immediately jumped in before the show started and just typed, Quinn is broken. And I don't know if that's fair to say either, but the discussion is out there. It's just a very bizarre circumstance right now. And there's a lot of ingredients to it. The fact that Georgia was the one to do it, I would have thought going in, if Georgia beats Texas, Texas fans are going to be able to deal with that. They'll be able to eat it the right way. They'll move on. And they'll say, hey, we wanted to be in this SEC. And we knew there were some badass teams there. And we just didn't play well enough. But we didn't get our doors blown off. It looked like that's where it was headed. But we fought back and we showed some guts. And we lost by, 15. And if our defense makes one stop, we get a drive to go maybe tie the game. Like, all that's true. And you have all that. But there's a couple of ingredients that are making it shaky for Texas fans. And you guys understand this. And you are, I think, reasonably worried / I don't know if it's worried. I don't know, it's not panic, but it might be worry. It might be a little concern. You thought the offense would look better at this point of the season. You thought the running game would look better at this point of the season. Most importantly, you thought the guy you snapped the football to would look better at this point of the season. You just did. So even if, as much as I've been talking about the sequencing of things for the Georgia game, even if Arch never sees that field, all this week we would have been talking about what's up with Quinn, what was up with early Quinn. Even if that same exact thing happened, it'd be like, what's up with him early on? Why is he not seeing this? Why is he not stepping up in the pocket? All that would still be there. Running backs. Is Wisner the guy? Jaden Blue got no carries? What is going on? I think that might be the biggest shock of this whole season so far. If I tell you 3 weeks ago that Jaden Blue gets no carries, none against Georgia, you'd say I was crazy. You would just say I was absolutely crazy. We've gotten some chats in as I was talking a little bit there. Barb's 10 says that tiebreaker mess doesn't look very favorable to Texas. That Georgia game looms larger now. Barb's 10, kind of. I mean, it's about what's left too. Georgia's got Florida. They're at Ole Miss. They host Tennessee. You got to hope maybe Lane Kiffin's group in Oxford has one of those days, has one of their good days. And maybe they could get one, give a loss to Georgia, and then it gets them out of your way. Or it's clearly the Tennessee game. It's in Athens, though. You're going to need Tennessee to go do that on the road to maybe help you out a bit. Now, of course, you could also clear everybody else but Georgia. Now, you don't control that part, but what if everybody else is out of the way? Like, root for Bama to beat LSU. That's one for them. And if you end up with because you can end up with a tie with LSU that you'd win, which again, I would lean you back to, just as an example. If A&M beats LSU this weekend, that gives them one, right? Even if they won out the rest of the way, you could end up winning that tiebreaker with them. And then it could theoretically, as long as you beat A&M, then I think it could come down to you and Georgia. But if it's just the two of you, then it's just about the seeding for the game. So I think that could be okay. But Barb's 10, I think, we knew it was a big game. We knew it was a big game, and the impact of it is going to be big. We're just going to need to see how all this plays out, because week in and week out, it's just, you don't know. You have no idea how some of this is going to play. And it also, there's looking at this schedule, Missouri losing one game the rest of the way feels like it's going to happen to me, if not more. But we need to see. They still have 5 conference games to go. At Bama this weekend, obviously. OU, at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, and Arkansas. So there are pitfalls waiting for Missouri. The question is LSU and Georgia. How do those two play out? Because obviously Texas has no control now over the Georgia thing. They'd lose that tiebreaker, and they have no control over the LSU part because they don't play them. So that was where my argument came in of, wouldn't you want to maybe root for the team you're going to play, A&M, to come out on top, and then you can go give them another loss, get them out, and then maybe that helps get LSU out of the discussion. We'll see. There I go into the tiebreaker stuff again. Barb's 10, thank you for jumping in on that. Sandman throws in, now we just need to beat Arkansas and A&M, and I'll be satisfied with the regular season. Wait a minute. You're taking, okay, I'm assuming there was some other discussion. I'm assuming you don't mean a loss to Vandy would be acceptable, or Kentucky or Florida or whatever. But I'm assuming, is that right? You mean go on to be 11-1, I'm assuming, Sandman? Double check me on that one. It's not just those two, right? Just asking. Banks, I wouldn't mind 5 to 8 seed for the home playoff game. Would be kind of neat. Banks, that is going to be an interesting, it's going to be a really cool part of it to be a 5 to 8 team. We're just going to need to see, if you're a 5 to 8, if you can work one of those seeds, you will have avoided playing, the championship game. And then, so you get that week off, but then you will have to go straight through. You'll have to win that home game you get, and then go 3 more. So you'd have to win those 4 in a row. You wouldn't get the bye of going to the championship game and winning it. So that would be, the balance of it. But I get what you're saying, because it is going to be just a hell of a show. Every time I see the projection, that's all I think about is the 4 home sites of who's getting to host. And I just keep imagining the cold weather teams always jump out to me. What if Penn State gets to host? What if a Penn State or a Michigan or somebody like that gets to host? What if something out west, a team you're not thinking about, Washington gets to host and it's a driving rainstorm? What if Oregon gets to host and it's weird and cold and windy, or whatever the little circumstances could be? It's going to have that NFL feel to me, because I'm always looking for that in the NFL when the playoffs are coming around. Who gets a bye, but then who gets to host? Does Kansas City get to bring somebody to them? Yes, we know they always do. But, when Kansas City gets to host, that's different. New England during their run, they get to host. That's different. Places like Pittsburgh and, Green Bay getting to host with the crowd, and you add the weather. I keep going back to Penn State. As much as I'm not into Penn State and I never root for them, my God, if they could end up with like a whiteout playoff game, 111,000 or whatever that number is now, you talk about home field. Whew. feeling bad for whoever might have to roll into that action. Just absolutely crazy. All right, Brian Jones coming up here in just a minute or so. Before we close out, Catch had some things to take care of later. He was here for the beginning of the show. And again, we're talking about this Texas offense today and the worries, the concerns that you may have. And let's see what it looks like against Vanderbilt. I will keep ringing the bell for third downs in this game. Vandy's 8th in the country. 52% they're converting. Texas is 10th against third downs. That has to go Texas's way. 29% is all Texas has given up. If they start giving up more of those, that's where this game can get away from you. I would just tell a Texas fan, remember every game you've played, kind of in Austin, but since it's a road game, let's go to the road. Remember those games you played at K-State. That's what this can turn into if it goes bad. That's what you need to be focused on is get the ball as much as you can, do something with it. Sark said it earlier in the week. Make your plays count. Don't count your plays. Because if you count your plays by the end, there's not going to be a ton. Catch referenced 15 drives earlier in the game, earlier in the show. I don't know if Texas gets there. I really don't. You need to plan. If you're Steve Sarkeesian, I would plan on, okay, I'm hoping I get 10, 5 per half. Like start there. You want more. You'd love more. But Vandy's good at converting those third downs. It's like, Catch talk. They are a death by paper cut kind of team. They want to do what K-State used to do to a lot of people and have done to Texas a couple times, to where you look up at the end of the first quarter and go, wait a minute. Did we just have the ball one time? Once? This whole quarter? And you get to halftime and go, 3 times. Wait, just 3. There's been 3 drives in the whole half. That's what they want to do to you. And remember, 42 minutes of time of possession. This Texas defense, the way they're playing right now, can they really make that difference? Can they shut Vanderbilt down? We told you earlier, Cedric Alexander, running back, questionable. Eli Stowers, the tight end, kind of, they'll use him as a tight end. They'll use him as a receiver, running back, little handoffs and stuff. They use Stowers in a lot of ways. He's questionable. Do either of those guys not play in this game? That's a big impact. But Texas has got to get those guys on the ground, and they've got to stop the sticks from moving. That's where I think they could get into some trouble. And then, obviously, we'll see what it looks like with Quinn Ewers. How comfortable does he look? How calm does he look? And has he gotten past it? The biggest thing of that post game is he's admitting to us that there's a little mental something there. That's a natural thing. Every athlete's got to deal with that, right? I had an ACL. I come back. I got to take a hit before I know. Rib injury. I got to take a hit before I know. And for Quinn, he's still feeling it. He's still feeling whatever that oblique thing is. I don't know that he didn't say it's affecting his play. He didn't say it makes him play bad. It's there. He's admitted that it's there, and he's admitted maybe there's a little mental hurdle he's got to get over. Hopefully they've talked to him about that this week. He's worked on that a little bit this week. We'll see. Orange Blood 1. The question is, does the "it's never good to root for OU" apply to the Aggies as well? Orange Blood, I think in general, fans have told us that yes, for them, that's the way it works. So like I said yesterday, I'm not telling you have to actively root for the Aggies during the game. I'm just saying if A&M wins the game, to me, there's a way to look at that and go, oh, okay. All right. So now the team we're not playing, from the Texas fan perspective, the team you're not going to play will have a loss, and they're going to play Bama still. Could get them 2. It's just about, the overall rule here is get anybody and everybody 2 conference losses if you can pull it off. You got to get everybody but one other team to 2 conference losses. That's the easiest way to do it. So you don't have to worry about tiebreakers. So maybe that's how you do it. But I get it. I think most Longhorn fans would tell you that, yeah, you're probably not. You're going to apply it both ways. You're not going to root for – if you're not rooting for OU, you're probably not going to root for A&M either. And then once they actually put those 2 on the schedule, you can figure out what it is. But that's just where it becomes I think an NFL type of deal. It's There are two teams playing that you don't like, but there's a version of it that helps your team. So coming up later on this season, I don't even know if they're on the schedule, but let's just example. Game later in the season, there could be like a Niners face the Eagles. And I'm a Cowboys fan. So we all know that as Cowboys fans, you might have to watch a game where you realize, oh, wait, if you're in a battle for the division, an Eagles loss might help you out. If you're in a battle for everything in the NFC and you've already clinched the division, or the Eagles are far below you, well, then it could be about the top of the NFC and a bye and all that stuff. I know I'm not talking about this season, right? Easy. But you know what I mean? Then you might be rooting for your division opponent or not rooting, but be okay with that because, the other team would lose. All right. So waiting on Brian. Let me check my phone. Let me see if Brian Jones. Hold on. Well, here it is. Apparently Brian running 10 minutes behind, says Brian. Look at that. Letting me know he's running behind. Such a good man, that Brian Jones. We will talk to Brian here in just a second. CBS has the 2:30, of course, with Illinois and Oregon this week. 5 ranked games this week, including Navy and Notre Dame to start at 11. They play on ABC. 2 of them in the 2:30 window. Illinois at Oregon. That's the CBS game. Brian and the crew, we're going to be talking about that one. ABC's got Missouri and Bama. Texas Vandy, of course, is SEC at 3:15. And then the nightcap ranked matchup is in College Station, LSU at A&M. So 3 of the 5 are SEC games this week when it comes to ranked matchups. Another great weekend of college football to check out. And remember, we are going to be out at TCH Social Austin one more time. Let's throw these drink specials up. Just make your plans. We're going to be out there for every game moving forward with a watch party. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. The specials start at 2:15 this week, an hour before kickoff. So come on out and check out Texas and Vandy with us at TCH Social Austin. If you want to just stay on through, once I'm done with the post game, I'm going to be checking out the rest of the A&M and LSU game right there at TCH Social Austin. So it's going to be a full day out there. Come check it out. The food is incredible. And most importantly, for you to understand, if you love cards and playing poker, that's cool. That's obviously a part of what they do. But you do not need to be a member to come out and watch the games with us. Just think about this as that new sports bar you didn't know about. It's that new sports lounge that maybe you hadn't heard of. Come on out and enjoy this beautiful screen with us. It is so much fun watching games out there. Get multiple screens, the 16x1, and then 4 4x1s surround it. They can dial those up any way we want. So if you have a request of something you want to watch, they can make it happen out there on those big screens. And there's more screens in that place than just what you're looking at right there. So we can definitely make sure you're watching what you need to watch at TCH Social Austin. Thanks to those guys for being so nice to us these first couple weeks. Looking forward to getting back out there again. All right, let's see what else we got. I like this one. A little game breakdown from Derek. It says things might be as simple as getting Jay Cook and Wingo more involved, Chad. Being serious, they don't have much tape on them, and then mix in the other guys back in. Just a thought. Derek, after what we've seen, you got to get Wingo something every game, don't you? Like, think about 5 touches for him. Playing some kind of jet sweep, maybe a little quick pass, but I love him on a slant. The slant route to him feels really aggressive. Regular slant, deeper slant, big crossing route. I'm a big fan of a good crossing route, drag route. One, because your offensive line has to be good to pull it off. So if you can do it, like that was my favorite thing about that 19 LSU team. They could run drag routes all day long. Their offensive line would hold up. Burrow waited, and Justin Jefferson would just drag across 53 yards of field and dare somebody to follow him. It was almost like Steph Curry running through screens. And by the end of it, you're just like, well, how the heck am I? But what are we supposed to do on defense there? That's the kind of stuff I think you can do with Wingo. And I'm agree with you with Cook. I would love to see them figure out Cook. And it's a great point, Derek, that there's not a lot of film there. So maybe you work them in. Bolden would also be in that category too. I mean, if you're a defense and you see number 11 go out there, what's he doing? Where's he going? Where does he line up? What are his tendencies? What is he like? You have no clue. Is he more of a double move guy? Is he more of a does he like to go outside or inside? You have no idea because there's just not a ton of film out there. I like the way you're thinking, Derek. It's good. It's some good nerdy football stuff there. Barb's 10 reminding everybody there is seating behind Chad there as well. Yeah, there's a nice bar area. Thank you, Barb's 10, for pointing it out. But it is true. Yeah, if you look, they're behind. So you can kind of see that bar area starting. That's where a lot of the fellas have been sitting up there checking it out. So, yeah, get out there. TCH, Austin, Social Austin, check it out. We're looking forward to it once again. And the food's amazing. I don't know what I'm doing this week. I might just go back to that salmon. Just go basic. Their salmon's awesome. I love seafood, and the players out there really enjoy it because it keeps it light. If you're going to be out there for hours playing cards, or in this case, hours watching games, you want to stay light. Can't fall asleep. Can't be like an old man falling asleep, with too much red meat. So go with a little seafood. That's what I might do this weekend. Oh, speaking of old men and seafood, I see the old man in the sea right now. All right, so let me get it reset. We'll get a graphic reset. I can throw this one up because we're about to go to the old two-boxer there with Brian Jones of CBS. They do
wait. First of all, Old Man in the Sea, Spencer Tracy, the original.
Okay.
The original, I believe.
All right.
Check that. 2, more importantly, don't tell me that motherfucker called in sick.
Okay, so Brian, here's what happened. Today, Jeff let me know that he needed to be done at 1 because he had a doctor's appointment, like a telemed kind of appointment or whatever. And I said, you understand that Brian Jones is going to think that you might be avoiding him. And he said, well, I feel bad about that, and I understand. So I did tell him that I would set you up to possibly throw a small fit. So if you would like to, you can do that at this moment if you feel like you have been dissed in some way.
You tell Mr. Ketchum, 1, no doctor's appointments during football week. So you just like weddings, you schedule that shit after football's over. Okay.
There you go.
Can stay alive until football season's over.
Mm-hmm.
I love that low T appointment.
Uh-huh.
Also, you tell him this, and we'll put a button on this conversation. I hope he gets seasick and lockjaw at the same time.
Wow. That's cold right there. I like that. Now I'm glad I brought it up.
Keep it up with our old man in the sea. I hope his ass gets seasick and lockjaw, and he's just gonna smother in his own vomit.
There you go. All right, Brian.
I wouldn't wish that on you, Catch. I take that back, dog.
No,
hey,
we don't do that.
Everything works out at the doctor's appointment. Health is wealth. Remember that, young folks, because we think we're invincible when we're young as hell. And I'm on a text thread with all my old buddies, my day ones from Lubbock, Texas, and we're always talking about make sure you do your annual checkups and all that good stuff. Health is wealth.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Brian, before we get into the health of football and some teams playing it right now, somebody wanted to know a very important question from you. Jose wants to know your favorite Smokey and the Bandit line.
Oh, shit.
Says, I bet they are good. Give me your favorite. What comes to mind?
It starts at the beginning. Hold up on that car wash, boys. They're stripping the car.
There it is. Uh-huh.
He kicks old boy in the butt. He said, that's an attention getter. Now, what was the one he said? Don't go nowhere. Don't go home. Don't call your mama. You can think about it, but don't do it.
Right, and don't play with yourself.
Don't play with you. That wouldn't look good on my highway.
Wouldn't look good on my. You can think about it, but don't do it.
I mean, and the one everybody always goes to, when I get home, I'm gonna pop your mama in the mouth. Because ain't no way you could have come from my loins.
Oh my God. I remember being a kid. It's like I knew it was funny, even though I had no clue what loins were. The first time he said it, I don't know what a loin is, but it was just like that is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
There's just so many from that movie, you know, choke and puke, and don't nobody chase me, boy.
Well, that's I think, Brian, the finest scene of that movie is easily the diner or the whatever you want to call it. That scene, the Diablo sandwich and the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I take a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper on the double.
Yeah, I'm in a goddamn hurry. From the moment he walks in to the moment he walks out and the toilet paper and everything. It's just brilliant from start to finish. I watch it it's the only scene of that movie where he and the bandit are technically like in the scene together.
Right. Yeah.
It's my favorite scene of the movie, and I never get tired of it. Ever.
Well, let me just say, you're the goddamnest pursuer that I ever pursued. As the pursuee, let me say.
Oh my God, you're the damnedest.
I love it. I do a hit on the Dallas station with the Musers every Thursday morning. And that's my song they bring me on to, man. I requested it. Give me my Smokey and the Bandit, baby. Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. We gonna do what they say can't be done. Come on.
That is it, sir. That is not germane to the situation. The Germans got nothing to do with it.
You sounded a lot smaller on the radio.
You sound a lot taller on radio.
Taller on the radio. Yeah, that was it. My bad.
Oh
yeah.
God.
The Germans got nothing to do.
Oh my Lord.
Put
Jose,
the evidence in the car, Junior.
Put the evidence in the car.
Remember the funeral scene? I wish they would have cremated to some bitch.
Oh my God.
Sure had a lot of friends, didn't he, Daddy?
Jose, thank you for bringing up Smokey and the Bandit. And remember, kids, if you have not seen Smokey and the Bandit, do not accept TV substitutes. Make sure you are seeing the original movie.
Thank you. None of that substitute.
Yeah.
Agreed, 100%. Hey, man, I got to go take a 10-100. That's better than a 10-200.
Better than 10-200, my God. Yeah, just the magnetic relationship between Reynolds and Fields, just unbelievable. What the heck?
Breaking shit.
The heck was that?
I just dropped coconut water all over my computer.
Brian, what did you just do? All right, do we have any water? You good? Do we need to have like a cleaning break?
I think I did a 10-100 on my computer.
Oh my God, he 10-100 the
Hell
computer.
No, man, that stops the show. It's just coconut water. Keep it going.
All right, and it just shorted out. God. Did he just short out his stuff on the show? Or while he was cleaning, did he hit the button? And no matter what just happened, did he realize it? Hold on. Did you short yourself out? What'd you do?
If I get electrocuted, it's my own damn fault.
I saw you kind of hesitate for a second. I'm like, oh my God, did he like spill it on? It's going to mess the whole thing up. And then did you just accidentally hit the button and kill yourself? Is that what it was? Okay.
Trying to clean up my mess.
Oh my Lord.
Anyway,
all right.
I'm a hot mess. Like I'm a mess like our football team was the other night.
I was just
Halloween came early, folks. That was it. It was just frightening to watch. It just came early for us. We got Halloween out of the way.
I was about to say, see, you're just like me. You're always thinking of those transitions. I was about to say it's probably appropriate because there's things Texas definitely needs to clean up. There was more than coconut water spilling all over DKR on Saturday night. So let's, now that you've been able to go back through, I'm sure it was partially painful and partially not painful and all that, but what jumps out at you? What are you focusing in on as we get ready for this Vanderbilt game?
Let me just say, when I was watching it live Saturday, that gummy kicked in at just the right time. No, I'm playing, kids. I'm playing. You're correct, sir. I had to force myself to go back and watch that film. Usually, okay, Gonna be fine. But games such as that, where you just didn't have your best performance, and I'll be the first to say I played good in some big games, and I played poorly in one or two big games, maybe just one, where I just laid an egg. That was what they did. They laid an egg. Now, either Kirby Smart cracked the code on Sark's offense, or he had the answers to the test, because them motherfuckers they were gathering around the ball carriers like fungus on a tree. I mean, they were there before the guys were there. Now, we'll say this too. Play 8 changes the whole complexion of that game probably. We had a little razzle-dazzle play, if you recall, Wisner. The ball was right there. They had everyone fooled. I mean, he had hash mark to hash mark where nobody was in the vicinity. He catches that. He scores easily. Turnovers, they overcome their turnovers. Texas couldn't overcome theirs. Trenches, where every game is won. They stoned us, and it wasn't a good kind. They stoned our ass, man. I mean, offensive line, of course, everyone knows 7 sacks. Some of that's on the quarterback as well. Quinn's got to step up in the pocket. You teach him to climb the pocket, get rid of the ball. He just seemed as though he hadn't played in a big game previously, and we know he has. So that was surprising to see how lackadaisical is not the word, because that's how he is. He's always been that way, even when he's connecting. But he missed some shots. Arch came in and missed some shots. God, there were guys open, man. And those were balls they usually hit on an over route for Quinn a couple of times. Even the deep ball, the first deep ball, I think it was to who's 5? Is that Wingo?
Yes.
He got the PI. Remember, he got the DPI. But he had a step on the guy. You lead him, that's 6 most likely. Then on an over route, he misses a guy. Arch comes in, has the guy over the middle wide open. He decides to take the deeper shot. The guy's open, and he just underthrows him. So there were plays to be had. Defensively, get in your gap, man. And you got to match their physicality. And they just didn't do that. What I thought would come to fruition earlier, that interior of the defense, came to fruition. We didn't whip anybody. We didn't win any one-on-ones up front. I think we had 1 sack.
Now, Brian, let me just stop you real quick here, because there's been so much talk about the defense this week, but it's all been positive, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Yes, I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because there was a lot of good things said about this defense of keeping them in the game like they did early, but I did point out the critical moment to give up that touchdown to make it 30-15. The game's done at that point. So when you're talking about defensive stuff and not filling the gaps and things, are you specifically talking about later in the game when they're giving that one up, or you mean the whole game?
I'm talking early. There were fits and starts. There were good stuff throughout the game, but there was a whole lot of bad throughout the game as well. And go back. You talking about that last touchdown. Go back to after Texas makes it 23-15, and they shouldn't have picked up that flag. You can't do that. I'm sorry. And motherfucking students, don't be throwing shit on the field. Everyone is just pissed off as you are. I'm cussing up a storm in New York City. Everybody looking at me like I'm fucking crazy, because they know how much I love Texas, and they just used to it. Thank you, Jesus, that my colleagues are used to me going crazy, mad, and screaming and all that when it's not going well for Texas. And I'm just as upset. It was a horrific call. You're right. No way that was DPI. I get it. But you don't act like that. We all want to do that. We want to throw tantrums. And yes, I've been young and dumb and done some shit I shouldn't have done. Still do stupid shit every now and then. Just don't tell nobody. But you cannot do that. Thank you. Adhere to what McConaughey said, the minister of culture. Don't do that shit again, all right? Now, the first touchdown that ETN ran, man, that's a classic little sweep play or zone play. We had the wrong gap fits. 18 gets held, but he's got to be more violent. You got to hit that motherfucking guard or tight end. Don't let him grab you like that. Shock his ass. So you get held. It's not called. So you just got to be violent there. 16 goes into the wrong gap because 18 has screwed it all up, because we don't know which gap he's got, because he's turned all sideways because he's being held. And then we don't set the edge. You got to be more physical down there on the goal line. The goal line, you have to play as if your heels are on the edge, man. And if you fall off, that's it. So that's how stout you have to be down there. So wrong gaps on that. I think it was his second touchdown was a little bit longer. Same thing, bad gaps. I don't see zero over there. I saw no one over there to touch ETN. You gotta play your gaps, shock and shed. That's what you're taught. You got to take on blocks and shed. I had to learn it. We all have to go through it, especially in physical ball games like that, man. Because if you try to run around shit, you play it soft, all you're doing is widening the hole. And that's what we did. Yeah, we got some stops when we needed to get stops. Offense didn't do anything with that. Offense didn't do anything with the 3 turnovers they forced. So, but no one should be patting themselves on the back. No one. Maybe the kickers, that's it. But shit, no. Defense, no, I wouldn't be happy with that performance. No. Okay. Some good, but a whole lot. I told you once, I made 26 tackles in a fucking game. My coach said to me, he should have. He was on the field long enough. I mean, so that's how, that's my mentality, man.
He gave up enough third downs.
Right, yeah. So you didn't get the stops when you needed them, especially that 3rd and 10. It's 23-15, man. You got him pinned back there, 3rd and 10. And DB, it was he kind of tripped or guessed, thought he was going outside the receiver. I think it was Dylan Bell, came back inside, rest is history. And then the razzle-dazzle play, they hit the next one, I think, to the tight end, fooled everyone. So, no one can be happy, but reset. That's fine. That's one. They came in here, they whipped you in your own backyard. They're talking a lot of shit, especially the head coach. And so hopefully you get another shot at them. And now you know you got to match that intensity. And I'll shut up after this chat, which is interesting. They didn't know that going in, considering they had played Alabama the previous 2 years. Lost here, of course, in a close one. You go there last year, a lot of the same guys on that team, especially that offensive line. You go there last year, you know what to expect and what you're going to get. This is the upper echelon of the SEC, and they didn't handle it.
Yeah. Brian, on the offensive side, obviously there's plenty of talk about the brief change at quarterback, then go back to Quinn. The more I keep thinking about it, the more I keep thinking about Milroe and last year, and maybe that's what Sark hopes this is. Milroe got benched, not with South Florida, and it was a game they ended up handling different there. But then – and you didn't put Arch Manning in for him, but they eventually go to the playoff after that, after he cleared his head. So in your mind, walk me through your reactions. Were you surprised it happened? And then do you kind of get why it happened as you know, when you think about it, looking back?
Well, if you recall, Bama struggled in that South Florida game. Damn near lost it. That was a close one. They had a long rain delay in that one as well. But that's how Quinn's got to handle it. I'll answer this part first. He has to answer and handle this like a pro. That's what Jalen Milroe did, and the rest was history. He catapulted his team and all the way to beating Georgia and winning an SEC championship. So, you feel bad, but you're going to sit around and you're going to sulk. You're going to curl up in the fetal position? No. You're going to man up and say, okay, maybe I deserve that. I've heard others, people that work with me, former quarterbacks, say what they should have done instead of benching him was dial up some easy throws, get him comfortable. Shit, he couldn't even make the easy throws at the beginning of that game. I understand that, but to answer your larger question, I was sitting there saying, yes, they need to make a change. About after the third, fourth series, you got to give Arch a shot now before this thing gets out of hand. And once again, Arch made some stuff happen with his legs. I think the first series or whatever, or second one, but he missed some shots down the field as well. And maybe he deserved another shot, another series, but he didn't get it. But I had no problem with coach taking him out and allowing him to refocus. And I think that's a great comparison. Milroe, and his was a whole game. He didn't start that game versus South Florida after losing to Texas. So here's a guy, you just got sat a couple series. Yeah, your ego is hurt and your pride. Well, you put your pride in your pocket along with your ego and you move forward, the entire team. That's what they have to do now. Put all that shit to the side and say, all right, I'm going to learn from this. It's hard, though, Chad. I said, coming off that Colorado game, man, I happened to come across some old stuff, old clippings when I was moving. And one of them I hadn't read. I was like, damn. and it was an account. It was following the Colorado game my senior year, in which I wanted it too bad and was tripping over on my own feet. And I recalled how melancholy is not even strong enough a word, how just disturbed I was that I had played so poorly. I think I recovered a fumble in that game. That was about it, or caused one. And the rest of it was horrific. But I recall coaches being quoted and teammates being quoted how I needed to snap out of it. I was like, damn, was I sulking all week or something? Because we had a bye after that game, unfortunately. So I had to sit on that for 2 weeks before our next game. I was like, damn, was I sitting around and just feeling sorry for myself for weeks after reading those accounts? And I said, apparently I was. Thankfully, teammates help you get out of that space in that situation. And that's what his teammates have to do. They got to rally around and say, hey, man, you still the starter? Keep your head up and keep working hard. That's going to be the key. That's the only way you snap out of this. And you got a worthy opponent you're going on the road to face, because we know Vandy's not going to lie down. Beat Bama, beat Kentucky at Kentucky. They like to force turnovers. They're +8 in that department. Their defense will fly around. They got some big boys on their D-line. They got some damn beef on their D-line. And that number 29 at the edge and number 20 at backer and number 4, they'll strike your ass. So you're going to get hit. And that's another thing that bothered me about the other night. I bet those Georgia players weren't even – I bet it didn't feel like it was a hot tub game or a cold tub game to me. They didn't have to go get in the whirlpool after our game. I didn't sense that they had been hit as they should be in a game of that magnitude. And so they probably went back, even though they have a week off. I just don't think any of them were, that wasn't as physical a game. We knew Oklahoma after that, your ass gonna be in that hot tub. You knew it was gonna be you were gonna be hurting. So there are certain games, I'm not so sure Georgia felt the brunt of that from Texas. But hey, it's over. Moving forward, they got everything they need. Just still go take care of business.
Brian, you're the perfect person to ask this, because for years you've been watching the SEC so closely. You've seen all these teams. There's this narrative out there, and it was going to go one way or the other. If Texas beats Georgia, they really would have cleared themselves from the pack, and there wouldn't have been a whole lot of argument as to who's the best.
Yeah.
But we all also knew if they lost this game and there was a physicality about Georgia, there was going to be that Texas isn't ready for the SEC kind of vibe from some fan bases or whatever. As you watched it play out, is that the feeling you had? Did you have any of that kind of feeling, or was this just, hey, you weren't ready for Georgia one time?
The latter.
Okay.
I just mentioned what they did the last 2 years, almost knocked off a damn good Alabama team 2 years ago here. No one gave them a shot, including me. And what was it, a one score? They lost by 1-2 points in that one. They go to Tuscaloosa,
right,
beat them by double digits. So that's a lazy argument for one to make. This is a one-off, I believe. I thoroughly believe this was a one-off, and I'm still as flummoxed as anyone why they didn't meet the moment, especially in the physicality department. You know what's coming with a team like Georgia. You know what's usually coming with a team such as Alabama. Obviously not this season, but that upper crust of the SEC, man, you better strap them on tight because they bringing it. It's going to be snot bubble time. So yeah, that was very surprising. I saw those comments. They're not SEC. Oh fuck, that's one game. Shut up.
Brian, before we get to some other games, we did have a few chats that came in. Craig says Quinn was in the grass so often, he definitely got some chiggers. Jay Bevo Horn says, BJ, call up Quinn and give him a remedy for the case of chiggers that he had.
And chiggers chasing his ass all night.
And Big Cheddar said the dogs were on us like chiggers in the tall grass. There you have it. If you don't know, you go back to last week's conversation and you can.
It was some big ass chiggers chasing his ass.
Oh, all right, Brian. So they
were under his skin. They were on top of his skin.
The CBS 230 this week is Illinois at Oregon. Speaking of physicality, Brian, Illinois put on those old looking uniforms, but they brought a new physicality. to Michigan last week. Now they're going on the road. Illinois at Oregon, modern day Big Ten. What do you think we're going to see out in Eugene?
I guess this is the silver lining. Thank you, Texas. Now we have the number one team in the nation on our network next week. So there's some solace in this the demoralizing loss here at DKR. You're right about Illinois, man. Been playing some great ball here late. This season is so wonky. You give up 49, 500 yards of offense to Purdue 2 weeks ago, and then you outgain Michigan, even though your quarterback only throws for 80 yards. You outgain Michigan rushing, just stymie pretty much everything they wanted to do, turn the ball over or force turnovers. So a great win for them. And now you take on Oregon. Oregon's got a more accurate quarterback, clearly, than Michigan, because Michigan's quarterback situation is just in terrible shape. And so you got to face that. You've got to face a better defense, a better pass defense. And Illinois has given up 20 sacks, and Oregon has they have amassed exactly 20 sacks. So I'm leaning Oregon in this ball game, and it's not personal, Illinois fans. These weak, what do they call them, snowflake ass fans. They think just because you pick against their team on a particular week, you don't like your team. I don't give a fuck about your team, okay? I'm just making predictions based off of the information and the film study I do, all that, all right? That's what this is. It's not personal, so quit crying and just enjoy the fucking show.
Catch always likes to say it's not show friends, it's show business. Is that basically what you're talking about?
Yeah. And we do our homework, and we think we have a bead on some of these games, and clearly we don't, especially me last week. I was 4-4 in all my damn picks. Thank you, Indiana. I mean, look at Indiana. Who expect them to be sitting there 7-0, man? I mean, it's just a crazy season, but it's fun. I love it. We've got 5 different number ones this season. When was the last time we had 5 different number ones? I mean, it's been a while since that occurred. So this is fun. Enjoy the shit. Why don't people get all crazy and upset and panties in a bunch? Fuck. Chill out.
Brian, you talk about a weird season. I saw a stat. 2007, the last time every SEC team had one loss by November, which brings us to a game nobody would have predicted. If you tell somebody, hey, October 26th, there'll be a game between the only 2 undefeated conference teams in the SEC, and it's LSU at A&M, but that's where we are. Tell me what you think we're going to see in College Station. Both of these teams have had their ups and down moments. There'll be moments where you think they might be a real football team, and there are other moments where it's like, wait a minute, what is going on? So help me. You know I'm on one side of it. Help me out here. What do you think we're going to see Saturday night?
The duality of quarterbacks. Let's start with yours, Wegman. Yeah. And I was carrying the water for him at the beginning of the season. Of course, he laid an egg versus Notre Dame, comes back, versus Missouri, and he's lights out. Last week, dude, he had the 2 picks. He should have had at least 2 more. I mean, they were right there in the guys. I watched the game film, Chad. I was like, no wonder you play defense. You catch like me. I mean, right there. You couldn't have placed it any better, and the guys just dropped it. So he's lucky he didn't have 4 interceptions in that ball game. The same for Garrett Nussmeier. He will put the ball in harm's way. He didn't have any touchdowns and any picks last week, but the previous 2 ball games, 2 picks each in those affairs. So I'm going to lean LSU, and I know you're at home, and it's a night game, right?
Correct, 6:30. Yep.
It's 6:30. And so I'm leaning LSU. Both have stellar running games. You got Le'Veon Moss, who Aaron Taylor loves, sings his praises all the time. I like him as well. Power, speed, vision, hell of a running back. You've got Caden Durham on the LSU side, same. Power, speed, young cat, and he's just been balling. Now, 2 of the last 4 didn't have a lot of carries. He was UCLA and the Ole Miss game. I think he had I don't even think he had double-digit carries. If he did, it was just over that. But he didn't have a lot of yardage in those. Came back last week, a few more. But it's going to be stopping those running games. But I'm going to tell you who you got to watch, Chad. I like what your boy Scooby Williams is doing, the transfer from Florida at backer, number 0, and, of course, Scorton at number 11 on the edge. But Whit Weeks, the backer for LSU, this boy is bad. and bad as in good. Oh my! All over the field. He's the second coming of Luke Kuechly, and not just because he's white, but he can ball.
Oh, there he goes. There goes Brian Jones.
There you go. Every time.
Every time.
There you go. There you go. Rocky Marciano.
That's right.
Watch 40. I promise you.
Okay.
During offensive installation earlier this week, A&M circled number 40. He is all over the place, man. You turn on the film, you're like, wow, this dude's bad. He is cold. Oh, I love watching him play. I'm going to lean LSU, but y'all have had some crazy affairs, you two. I mean, you got 70-something games with eight or nine overtimes. You got coaches being fired before they even leave the field. I mean, you just had some weird stuff happen.
It's a weird ball. Brian, I'm gonna tell you what, if these two quarterbacks show up and the wrong version of each of them shows up, this one could go 74-72 in regulation. Like this could be a wild circus. But you're right. That the one thing about this game, it has not been normal. Like there have been blowouts. I mean, LSU has taken it to the Aggies a couple times. And then there have been a couple where A&M won. There was one, I think that they won convincing. Just weird stuff. You're right. I do not know what to expect on Saturday.
I think it's gonna be a barn burner.
I think it's gonna be close. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gonna be very close. I'll lean a little bit A&M because they're at home. I think if it was at Death Valley, I'd pick LSU. I'm interested to see it though, because when these teams are good, you want to trust them. But just as you start to, they're like, the kid that you let them throw the party at the house and then your car's in a tree and you're like, whoa, what happened? I trusted you. And it didn't. Right? Like next week, like earlier in the show, Ketch said, I think the Aggies will win this week, but I think they're going to lose at South Carolina. And I started to get mad. And then I thought, oh no, that could happen. Yeah. I totally see that happening in one scenario. Yes, I get it. I totally get it. All right, Brian, let's see. What else did we you know what? Let's give respect to two other ranked matchups, specifically this Navy Notre Dame one. I think Navy is getting disrespected in this game with this plus 12 and a half. I think they're winning the damn thing. Do you agree?
You and Randy Cross think the same thing, man. I don't think they win, but I agree with you. They are getting disrespected because that pass game is legit. It's not just to throw you off the scent of the running game. That is something that's a significant part of this new wing T hybrid offense that OC Drew Connick has brought. And this Horvath, if you haven't seen him, watch him. He can flat out ball, man, and passing it, running it, Kennett wide receiver, Heidenreich. I don't know what the hell he plays. Tight end, H-back. He plays everything, but he's another one of the pass targets that Horvath likes to get. And this defense is pretty solid. So I like the defense of Notre Dame. They've got a heck of a secondary led by Xavier Scott. I think they have 8 or 9 interceptions right now. So I think they can handle the throwing. It's going to be about that front. If they can make sure you keep your discipline, something you have to have when you're taking on these option teams. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I think they have the better D, and they'll be able to corral the pass game.
And then can I assume that you think Bama is going to bounce back and beat Missouri at home?
I think Bama bounces back, yes. Okay. I think he does, yes.
Okay. Before I let you go, Brian, our man Barb's10 threw in a super chat for both of us. $10 off topic. Thoughts on the soakage around LeBron and Bronny, gratuitous Laker debut for history, 3 minutes, no points, 1 rebound. The audacity to liken it to Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. is sports blasphemy. Wow.
I didn't see it, and I would take it. This is true. Those are his numbers. 3 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound. Yeah. Hell no, that's not Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. Jr. was banging out of the box. He was hitting dingers. Right. He was climbing the wall, making great catches right when he came up, wasn't he?
Yeah, I guess my thought would be like they had Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. there. They did like photo ops because it's historic. Yeah. And I think we all just have to remember, like, this has never happened in the NBA. Never. And there aren't that many examples anyway of any sport that this happens. Right. So I don't believe Barb's 10. I never took that. I never took that stuff to think that somebody is saying that Bronny is Ken Griffey Jr. I never thought. I just thought.
No, they didn't mean it that way. They're just likening it to the situation. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just a photo op. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to get upset about it.
No. Once again, why? Why make something more than it is? Hell no. Right. Just enjoy. It's too soon for basketball for me. I don't pay attention anyway to the playoffs. So
yeah.
Hell if I know what's going on.
Brian, that's my thing. I have a holiday rule about the NBA. There's some people that tell you they don't pay attention until Christmas. I'm not that person, but you at least got to give me Halloween. Like,
right.
You have got to get me through masks and trick or treat and Reese's and Kit Kat and Twix, and you got to get me past that point. If it's October anything, and the Suns and Sixers are playing tonight, okay. Sure. I'll watch highlights. But I can't dig in on like game watching until we get to November. I can't do it.
Well, I check out except for baseball once my season's over anyway. When spring training rolls around, I'm back in focus.
Hey, speaking of baseball, Brian, you know enough about me to know I never root for your baseball team, but I respect all teams, and I certainly want to get your thoughts. It is Yankees and Dodgers, history on history in the World Series. Game 1's tomorrow night. Give me your gut. Give me your gut feel of Judge and Ohtani and whatever we're about to see.
Hell, I think this even Steven, even though you have a Dodgers team that at certain points, once they get past Flaherty, they go bullpen. They do a bullpen game, and Yankees are used to that. That's something Tampa Bay employed for the last few years. Detroit did it this year to a lot of success. So I think they'll be ready for that. But who knows, man? It's the postseason, and I'll say this: the Yankees owe the Dodgers. The Dodgers came into Yankee Stadium this season and just whipped them, man. They just Teoscar Hernandez and everybody. They just kicked our butt in that series at Yankee Stadium. So payback is due. I'm just hoping Stanton can stay hot because he's been unbelievable, and it's been fun to watch. And I tell you what, I don't want to see is any more of this cup tapping. So Kiki Hernandez, you not seen that? His celebration?
Did you just say cup tapping?
Cup tapping, yes. They tapped the pelvic area after this dude hit a home run. And a couple of the Yankees did it. I was like, no, I think Austin Wells or someone did it. Like, no.
Brian, didn't they close a couple fraternities at Mississippi State a few years ago for cup tapping? Isn't that what
Maybe they did. I don't know, but that's what Kiki Hernandez on. I remember seeing it versus the Padres. Like, did I see what I think I just saw? Then he did it again. Like, no one in that clubhouse. Like, guys, can we come up with some patty cake or some shit? I mean, not cup. Go back to the Bash Brothers. Yeah.
What are we doing?
What
Brian,
is that cup tapping?
Hey, you mentioned Stanton. I'll call it incredible when it's incredible. Just like when Derek Jeter made that play against the A's, it's still one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Brian, that homer Stanton hit, that 116 or whatever it was off the bat, 464. That one, it was 2 games ago, I guess it was. That's one of the damnedest things I've ever seen in my life. That was.
I'm sitting there. That's the 3-2 count, and we're sitting there watching. I was like, there's no way he's throwing this ball over the plate. He better stay outside, or if he's coming inside, it better be low and inside. It's no way he's going to come in. What does he do? Throws it right over the plate. Was that Bibby, I believe is how they pronounce his name? There's no way he's coming in there. What does he do? Rest is history.
Yeah, unreal. All right, on your way out, Brian, Money B's throwing us $10. Thank you, Money B. BJ, what would be your game plan for Texas this week on offense and defense? And hotter than Florence or Walona?
That is easy, man. Florence looked like a dude, first of all.
Damn.
With a TWA.
Are you going after Marlon Gibbs? Come on.
No. Florence was oh shit. I'm tripping.
Doesn't he mean Florence? Doesn't he mean
I thought
Florence?
he meant Florida. I'm sorry.
No, doesn't he mean he means Florence from the Jeffersons?
Yes. Well, this is easy too. No,
It's Walona. It's a
Walona.
It's
Hands
Walona.
down.
Yeah, Walona was a sexy beast, ladies and gentlemen.
She was fine, and then JJ's sister. What was her name?
She was very pretty. Yeah. God, what was her name?
Oh, Google it. I ain't leaving till we come up. I can see her face. Thelma.
There it is. Thelma. She had a very
Thelma.
She had a very unhot name, but she was very pretty.
Yes,
very
she was.
pretty.
No doubt it's got to be Walona, man. Come on, get Marley Gibbs out of there.
Okay, so offense and defense. Give me a basic game plan.
You got to corral Pavia. They're going to run these quarterback runs. He keeps the ball more than he hands it off. So you got to control the line of scrimmage again, something they didn't do last week. Make sure you corral him, tackle these guys, and you got to put some pressure on him. I think Texas can cover him up. I know they're hurting in that secondary. Makuba is out for a minute, but I think they'll be fine going up against these wide receivers. But they run a lot of different formations, similar to what Sark does, trying to get your eyes in conflict. So just make sure you read your keys and just be physical at the point of attack defensively. Offensively, they just got to connect. There were plays to be made, Chad, and they've got to block better. They got to be more physical on the offensive line as well and protect better. I'm telling you, I can't remember the guy's name, 29 on the edge. He had a big sack versus Bama to close that game out or help close that ball game out. And they've got some number 5 is Hughes on that D-line and some others. You're going to have to come to play. This ain't no easy win, Cletus. This is a different bandy, a totally different bandy. So bring the physicality and put it to bed early. Put this one to bed early. Go out there and don't give them any hope. But Pavia is hard to corral. That little dude, he owns the state of Alabama. Beat Auburn last year when he was at New Mexico State. Beat Bama this year at Vandy.
You're going to walk over, but you're going to limp back.
You're going to limp back.
Money B, thank you for that super chat. Brian, always good to see you and talk to you, sir. Enjoy the weekend of football, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hook 'em.
Brian Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Even when he's late, he's going to let me know he's late, and then, it's fantastic. Always good to talk to Brian. We had that come in, that super chat. This is interesting from Oscar. Oscar, anyone going to see Billy Joel tomorrow night in San Antonio? Oscar, I am not. I do know of that show, though. When we saw Billy and Stevie Nicks at Jerry World, they were advertising that show. And I believe it's Billy Joel and Sting, if I'm not mistaken, which I've never seen Sting. So that's got to be a good show. Let me tell you what, Oscar, if you're going and you're in, I don't know if you've seen Billy Joel before or not. I'd never seen him. That man still got it. He's 74, 75, somewhere in that range. Can still hit some notes. Great showman. I really enjoyed it. I got it. Like, I figured Billy Joel wasn't going to be bad, but man, do I get the Billy Joel freaks. I know I have multiple people in my life that are Billy Joel people. I totally get it. Totally get it now. He was really, really good. Really good. Yes. Still great live. Yeah. I loved it. Thought it was great. And I went to that show as like my third time to see Stevie Nicks, and I love Stevie Nicks, even to this day. When that woman sings Gold Dust Woman live, I get chills. I get emotional. Her voice just does something to me. But then Billy Joel, he was Billy Joel now. I heard the songs I wanted to hear. I heard some songs I wasn't even thinking about that were badass. Even some of the kitschier ones that you're like, okay, I got to kind of get through this song. Even those were pretty badass. So Billy Joel puts on a hell of a show. Check it out. It was really good. Everybody that's going to that show, have yourself a good time. I'm going to Judas Priest tonight with my dad. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to go see Conan Gray and Maisie Peters on the young side tomorrow night with my daughter and a friend. That should be interesting because I get to see something and hear something that I didn't grow up with, but I've witnessed it now a couple times. Pack an arena full of like teenage girls, average age teenage girls, then put a male artist on the stage and have him do anything. have him breathe into the microphone, have him clear his throat, have him say hello, have him say up next is whatever, they lose it in a very, very special way. It is a magical sound, and it's cool to hear. And I just love watching her get to experience it and watching her friends and everything. So that's going to be fun. And the music's not bad either. So everybody have a great time. And we definitely need to stop spreading the rumors that I'm going to see Nickelback. That is not happening. Don't lie. No, I'm not going to see Nickelback. I can promise you that. Nickelback, not happening. Judas Priest, supported by Sabaton. That's tonight. And then Conan and Maisie. Yes, I'm doing all that. But I'm not doing any Nickelback. That's not going to happen. I do not know what it would take to get me back to a Nickelback show. More than a nickel is what it would take. You would have to pay me a heavy, heavy amount of money, I think, to get me back to that show. Not one of my favorites. All right. There you go. Thank you for all the super chats. We've gone over 2 hours, but Brian Jones is always fun. Thank you for liking, subscribing, getting your notifications. Shout out to Specs. Obviously, the Specs chat, so important to what we do. Thanks to almost 600 of you that are in there right now. Remember to come see us on Saturday at TCH Social Austin. Those specials start an hour before Dollar Draft. $2 jellyfish. The food's incredible. Come see us at TCH Social Austin. That is where we will be checking out Texas and Vanderbilt. Can the Longhorns look a little more like they need to look against the Commodores than they looked against the Dogs last week? We'll figure all that out. Football with Friends is coming up at 6 o'clock this evening. Anwar's got the old fashioned for you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And remember, for every game, we jump in with the post-game show right here on Orange Bloods Live at the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter. That's why you need to get your notifications, because you won't even have to keep up with all that. You'll just know right when things are happening. We appreciate you for doing it. We appreciate your support. And we will talk to you tomorrow for a Friday show. Scottish guy before the Texas Vanderbilt game. Our thoughts, more thoughts on the game as we get a little bit closer. Y'all have a good rest of your Thursday. Take care of yourselves, whether you're going to be in the mosh pit with me and Doc Hastings tonight or not.